Hello and welcome to the Wednesday evening edition of the Johnny Cleveland podcast. How is everybody tonight? I am broadcasting tonight, not from my usual spot. Well, it's my usual spot here in the home, but I've got different equipment tonight. Some of our equipment wasn't working, so I'm using my phone. So we'll see how it goes tonight. But welcome to the show. Glad to have you along here. This is the podcast, the Johnny Cleveland podcast, and it's a Wednesday evening. It's been a full day here. We're going to talk a little bit about the Browns Bengals game coming up later this weekend, and we'll review a little bit about. We're going to talk a little bit about Baker and what he's all up to. This last week, he's gotten a lot of criticism, bad and good, for his performance on this past weekend against the Steelers. So. If you can see here, I'm wearing I got my voting sticker here. I had a chance to go vote, and I hope that all of you go out and vote today or in the next week if you want to vote absentee or go vote early at any of your at the Board of Elections wherever you're at. I encourage you to do that. I know many people I've talked to have already been voting, and today we're again in the Buckeye State, and it was a full house. Lots of people standing and waiting. But it's good to see democracy at work. And so I was able to do that. So I encourage you to vote, if not early, but on November 3rd. So there's my public service announcement for you. I'm excited. I recently do our podcast here, but I've also joined a group called ClevelandSportsTalk.com, and they cover Buckeyes. They cover the Browns, lots of sports here in the state. And I was invited to do some writing articles. And as many of you know, I've written over the years, and I've been given this opportunity this time to write. So I actually had an article. If you get a chance, you might check it out. I've put it on my social media platforms, on our Facebook, and our Twitter accounts at the J Cleveland Pod. So I would encourage you to check that out. It's an article about Baker Mayfield and kind of where we're at, with his progression. Basically the gist of it, and I'd encourage you to go read it. But there's been a lot of criticism, and I certainly, if you watched my rants this past weekend with my son Alec, thank you, Alec, again for joining us. Alec and daughter Mariah might be joining us in the near future again for a dog post game show. But the criticism Baker took is something that he should have expected. He's in his third season. He is making not a lot of steps toward progress. The article kind of just talks about where he is in that progress. Being the third year, you would hope that he would be making some bigger strides. Obviously, though, he's had a lot of various coaches. He's getting used to this new offensive set by Coach Stefanski, who we're going to talk a little bit about that here in a little bit. And I've mentioned this many times on the podcast about what I think Stefanski brings to the Browns long term. But Baker had a really good first rookie season, and obviously a lot of folks did not see a lot of Baker. A lot of defenses in the NFL they were kind of getting used to him. He had a great first season, broke some rookie records. So now, he's in this transition where he's another new coaching staff. He knows he's got the spotlight on him. But we've talked on this podcast many times, and many other outlets have talked about this too, that, with this season, the way things are going, the Browns are 4-2. There, if any of you and I, back in August had looked at that and said, man, we're 4-2 right now, I would think that all of us would be like, oh my gosh, this is great. But he loses big time to the Ravens and loses big time to the Steelers, and everything's, the sky is falling. And I certainly, like I said, reacted with my rants talking about comparing Baker to, a junior high quarterback that I've coached in the past. But he's not. In the article, I also kind of go back and I look at other quarterbacks that the Browns have had. be quite honest, you go back to 1999 since the Browns have been back, and we've gone through 30 quarterbacks, right? Baker is the one that's been here the longest. He's made it now for 36 games, 2.5 seasons. This is good stuff. This is important to keep in mind when we're being so critical. And today, in the local media, one of the plain dealer Cleveland.com writers, Mary Kay Cabot, who we've talked about before, she was extremely critical of Baker, and some of the things are rightfully, should be criticized. However, um, is she determined to run the kid out of town? He's young, he's got a hard head on him. But his shoulders aren't as big as LeBron's, and he's got an ego, does Baker. So I'm not quite sure what the point of Mary Kay Cabot's article was. She even at one point was comparing Baker to quarterback out of Houston, the Deshaun Watson, who he's had a pretty good career, and they've made it to some playoff games there in Houston. But currently, Houston sits at 1-5. So I'm not quite sure. And when I read that article, why she throws that in there, other than to talk about career stuff. I'd much rather be 4-2 than 1-5, and that's where we're at, right? So, when I was looking back at some data, something I mentioned in the article that I wrote earlier today, I mentioned Brian Sipe. I had grown up. That was the age that I grew up in. My heart was broken when Sipe threw red right 88 in the back of the end zone, intended for Ozzie Newsome, who tripped, fell, and it was intercepted by the Raiders on that really cold, heartbreaking day in January of '81. But I was looking at Sipe's numbers and comparing them, generally speaking, to Baker. Now, Sipe was in Cleveland for a decade, and he had 6 or 7 really solid, quality years. In a stretch of 4 years from 78 to 82, they had decent records, winning records. His best season was then that 1980 season when they went 11-5. But that was the only season of the 10 that the Browns actually made it to the playoffs. But they were close other times. And I just get that sense, like, with Baker, I think, he's getting us closer. And he has to manage the games. He doesn't necessarily need to win games for us. And so that's where, all of a sudden, we feel like, okay, he threw 2 picks, and I was beating him up too for throwing the pick 6, which is unacceptable last weekend. But you got to keep in mind, I believe, that the kid is still learning. He's under a new system. It's not the same system he was running last year. And so he's learning. And considering we didn't have a preseason, we're in a pandemic, all that needs to be considered. Now, the idea that national media folks like Stephen A. Smith on ESPN is rambling about how OBJ and Jarvis Landry need to head out of town and demand a trade is just absurd. Stephen A. Smith is just trying to get ratings, which is totally his thing. He's got to do as a columnist and a sports guy, but just ridiculous stuff. I mean, OBJ and Jarvis Landry have no intent of going anywhere. They are supporting. They came out today and they supported Baker again. Have his back. So. Moving forward, let's see what he does against Cincinnati. Baker Mayfield has had a good history against the Bengals. They got the big win at the beginning of the season, the Thursday night game, got the lead, had really good rushing attack by Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Obviously, Chubb is out right now, but I think Dearness Johnson can come in, help the Browns, in this next game against the Bengals. The game is down in Cincinnati. Joe Schmo, like my daughter Mariah, Mo Money says, Joe Burrow is doing well so far, but they're not winning games. They had a 21-0 lead against the Indianapolis Colts. By the way, that didn't look good. I don't know to you, when the Colts were down 21-0 early in that game, going in the second quarter, and we had just beaten the Colts and thinking, well, the Colts had this great defense, and then the Bengals are on top of them, winning. But the Colts, to their credit, came back and won that game. Going away, and Joe Burrow and his offense had a chance to win it, but he threw an interception. Joe Burrow's learning. He's going to be a great quarterback in this league. He's going to be challenging Baker Mayfield. And Ben Roethlisberger, Big Ben. Hopefully, maybe Big Ben will retire. I don't know. I'm always hoping that Big Ben will leave. I'm tired of seeing Big Ben. So we'll see what happens on this weekend. There are, every indication to me is that it's going to be a good game. I don't think that the Browns are going to, have what happened to them against the Steelers. The Steelers are a solid team. I don't like giving the Steelers, the Squealers, credit, but they have a really strong team. It's like I said on the podcast after the game. It seemed like there's 20 Steelers on the field at all times. They had the rebroadcast of the Browns Steelers game earlier today on one of the local channels here, and it was just Baker was throwing to his the sequence was in the second quarter. He had a pass thrown to Landry that he wasn't able to connect on, but there were literally like 4 Steelers like attacking Landry. I mean, it's amazing the speed that the Steelers are showing, especially on defense, and defense wins games. So I hate to say that, but I still think the Steelers suck. All right. So, talking about Coach Stefanski again, just briefly, that's kind of the key right now and I think he indicated that after the game. He's talked about it to the local media in the last day that, a lot of the things that he was doing, he was trying some different plays and some different opportunities that he said, basically he now knows that's not going to work. And anything you read about Stefanski, go back and read some of the material when he was coaching up in Minnesota as an assistant. He's always cool, calm, and collected. He's always trying to learn different things. And the biggest thing that I see a lot of these different coaches mention is that he has the ability to work with players differently. So he's not working with the same play, like all the players in the same way, which some coaches only know one way. They speak to a team of 53 players and they either, yell at them or they don't do anything or they're a players coach. Stefanski, I think you can almost sense it when you listen to him. He works with these players individually, and that brings a sense of confidence that I think the players understand and they get, and I think that's going to really work well going forward. I could completely be wrong. We've seen other coaches come in here and think that they're going to be it, and they're not. But he's off to a good start. They're 4-2. They have a very good opportunity to beat Cincinnati, go 5-2, and then they can focus on the Las Vegas Raiders before they go to their bye week. So lots of things to look forward to. I hope you check out my article. Again, it's the sports. It's called Sports Talk. Cleve Sports Talk. It's CLE sportstalk.com. And check that out. Let me see if I've got I didn't get that up there, but if you want to reach me on my email, we'll put that up here, I think. Let's see here if I can figure this. Oh, there we go. And then, again, our handle again on Facebook and Twitter is right there, the Jay Cleveland Pod. So check that out and check out this new media platform. These guys are great. They do a lot of great writing at clevesportstalk.com. Check it out and keep reading those articles. So that's kind of where we stand with the Browns. I'm looking forward to the game. We're going to have a little bit more rundown on that. Hopefully I'll have my other equipment and we'll be able to do a bigger show for you guys on Saturday. We're going to come back on Saturday. We'll have the College Morning Quarterback show where we'll give you some predictions on the games for the weekend, including the college game and the NFL. So we'll go from there, and big game here. We're in the Columbus area here, so the talk of the town are the Buckeyes. The Buckeyes are playing Nebraska. They're coming in, hitting Nebraska's coming here to Columbus. They're gonna have I think it's a noon. I want to say it's a noon kickoff here on Saturday. So the town is starting. You can sense that energy. You listen to the sports announcers and the sports guys on the radio talk shows down here in the area. Everyone's getting very excited. People in Columbus treat the Ohio State Buckeyes like an NFL team, and it's exciting to see. The Buckeyes have 8 games in the regular season. Every indication is they're going to be strong. Will they go undefeated? We'll talk maybe about that on Saturday. Potentially, then they could be looking at maybe a national championship still. Justin Fields, where is he going to, by the way, is he going to go through and then where will he be drafted? Have we, start thinking about some of that? I know some people are even starting to, the last day with Baker Mayfield, it's just crazy. The number of people that are coming out and saying, oh, well, Ryan Fitzpatrick down in Miami, who's now not going to start because Tua is going to be starting down there. Maybe we can call Miami. Why would you do that? You have Case Keenum as a backup here in Cleveland who can take over if Baker has more of an injury. Keep in mind, Baker is injured right now. He's banged up his ribs. Ribs don't heal like right off the top, so keep that in the back of your mind when you're watching Baker. Hopefully the coaches do too. So before I leave, I wanted to give a shout out. Many of you know I'm a school counselor by trade. When I put my cape on and go to work there, but we have been working virtually, like many of you know. Actually, my son Grant, who's co-hosts the show sometimes, Grant Man, he's started back with his classes now. He's in the special education programs there, so they've started going half days. He gets to hop on a bus and do that, so he's very excited to be back. But I want to give a shout out to the folks I work with. I work in Columbus City Schools and work at Columbus Afrocentric Early College K-12. Love the place. It's great. Got great community there, great staff, great kids, and their football team, nicknamed the Nubians, have won two, not just one, but two playoff games now in Region 6 here in Ohio. And so we'll be playing the quarterfinal game of the Ohio playoffs this Saturday. They're going up to Fort Fry. And I think it's in a town called Beverly, Ohio. So looking forward to it. They're going to be playing Fort Fry High School. And go Nubians. Good luck to you guys on Saturday. If any of you, the staff watches our podcast, I know some of you have been watching that. Tell the boys good luck. And hopefully they'll bring back another win. And if they win, they go to the semifinals. That would just be tremendous. Our school, Columbus Afrocentric, has never won a playoff football game until this season, and now they've won two. So awesome job, everybody! Thank you for watching the podcast. We'll be putting this podcast too, the audio part of it, on over on Spotify and on Apple. So if you want to listen to the podcast on your drive into work tomorrow morning with your cup of coffee, it would be great for you to do that. Plus, check out Zazzle.com. Some of you have contacted me this past week and have actually ordered some of the Johnny Cleveland t-shirts. I'm actually working on a new caricature. I've got somebody working. We've got a new caricature coming out with, it'll be an alternate caricature. So we'll have both. So you can choose when you go buy that t-shirt or that coffee mug. So think about that. The holidays are coming around. Thanksgiving, by the way, my birthday's coming up. So if you want to, maybe we'll get that for somebody else, but Christmas is around the corner, so you could give gifts to all of your loved ones. All right, folks, have a great evening. And remember to always keep smiling. Take care, everybody. Good night.